Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice. It's a brand new week, the sun's shining bright. A chance to cast your net, step into the light. Life's full of challenges, it's a winding stream. But with Coach Rice, you'll find your dream.
Happy Monday. Thank you for joining us. You are listening to Casting the Net, reeling in holistic health, where we care about your mental and physical well-being. And so I am super excited to be on here. I am Coach Rice, your host. And with me, I have a special guest. I am super excited to dialogue with her about leadership. She's a leadership consultant. Her name is Janet Krebs, and I am super excited to introduce the world to her, to introduce her to the world and let you guys know that we care and we are about to dialogue about some things that you may be interested in. So, Janet, tell us where you're from and how did you end up in this particular field?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak with your audience. Probably one of my favorite things to do. I did not stumble upon this one iota. My journey has been very solid in that. Martha, have you ever looked back in your life and you're like, oh, that's why I did that. Oh, that's why I met that person. Oh, that's why I took that job. I'm in my 60s now. And so when I look back through all of the decades of life, I have that epiphany all the time. And it has all deposited me to this time in my life where it all works in that I truly believe that family is the biggest and most important investment we will ever make. And it is the pillar of our legacy. And that's a huge idea, right? But there's a lot and so that goes in lots of different directions, but that's where I landed. And so working within families as their leadership guide, as their leadership compass, giving them permission to step into that posture has just been magical.
That's amazing. Did you say where you're from? Did I miss that?
I didn't. Thank you. Keep me on track because I go off.
Oh no, you're fine.
I'm coming to you from Indianapolis at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, okay. In Indiana, huh?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. And so I love what you do because you're right. I it's really huge that we step up in leadership with our children. Tell us more about what when you're consulting in that area, what do you find that you see the most that you fulfill where you say, I'm gonna help with this, and this is driving you to research more, or if that makes sense, like what is it that you see in your practice more often than you want to see?
It's a great question, and I could answer that in 19 different ways. So let's just, I'm a big picture person, and I'm outside of solving problems with clients. And so I will answer that with something super simple. And that is parents, let's just say, or people of influence. If you are in any position of influence, if you're an athletic coach, if you're in lay ministry, if you're a minister, if you are a scouts leader, it doesn't matter what it is. If you are standing by yourself in line at the grocery store, people are watching. And so I would answer your question specifically with, let's give ourselves, let me give you, whomever, permission to own the responsibility, to own and step into the posture of being the leader in your life. I truly believe that let's just say women, right? Because oftentimes we are the unsung heroes. You are the CEOs. You are the chief everything officer in your life. And when we compare that to corporate America, let's say, or any organization, think about this for a second, Martha. I mean, one office, one job, one person, right? You've got your chief operations officer. You walk into the office, that's their job. You walk into any family, any home, and I don't care what that looks like, and family can be defined 100 different ways. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
You are the chief everything officer. You are the chief medical, chief nutrition, chief transportation, chief operations, chief logistics. You are the chief everything officer. So why do we not walk that walk? Why do we
Hmm.
walk that as a sense of, or in a posture of less than? Like, let's just abolish that whole I'm just a mom thing. Like, look at the
Ooh.
difference. I'm just a mom. I am the CEO of my family. If you stood in front of the mirror and said that to yourself, I would promise you, you would walk like you would posture yourself so differently in your world.
You know what? You said a mouthful because let me tell you something.
I know I did. I'm sorry. I
You
dropped
said a
bombs.
mouthful because I kid you not. Like, seriously.
I'm a
Like,
bomb dropper.
when I was like, oh God. No, I can stand CEO my of being a wife, of being a mother. But when you say a CEO of being a nutritionist, because we cook for our family, right? That's why my head went like I never looked at it like that because I'm like, I don't like to cook, but it's the headspace
Yep,
of cooking or the headspace of the posture. If I thought I'm the CEO of every aspect, I'm a step into it different
exactly right.
with
So,
ownership,
absolutely.
provision, all of that. Yeah. That's why I was
Everything.
like, okay, that was a bomb dropper.
Everything. And so, like, that's one of my favorite talks, and it's titled Leadership is a Posture, Not a Position. When we
Mhm.
step into that, that's a game changer. Like, instead of walking into and this is just a very elementary example, but instead of walking into a room and going, do you think you guys can clean up these toys and all of these dishes and wrappers that you've left? Rather than, hey, you guys made quite a mess in here. I'm coming back in 12 minutes. I expect it to be cleaned up. You're going to be responsible for this mess that you made. Turn around, walk away.
That's CEO.
That is CEO. That is leadership. That is,
Yes.
these are my expectations. This is your responsibility, and there will be consequences, and you will be held accountable for what just came out of my mouth.
Mm,
Bam.
bam.
Oh, the fun we
I
will have.
love it. I love it. So when you see your clients, who are your ideal clients? Because is it women? Is it families? Is it groups? How do how does that work?
That's such a great question because the leadership revolution would be anybody who is in mentorship, role model, any role that has influence. I believe we are the true influencers of the world, not these people on TikTok that have 5 million views. They're not the real influencers. The people that anybody is looking up to, which is all of us, we are the
Mhm.
influencers. So I don't know, ideally, wouldn't it be fantastic for people to stay or be proactive in this mindset when they're people, when they're crew, whether they're work crew, whether it's their family, that's their team, whoever they are in influence. Uh, wouldn't it be great if they would start early in practice? The actual person that reaches out typically is the parent of a tween, and we hear this all the time. What happened to my darling grade schooler? all of a sudden they turned 11 and I don't recognize them
Oh,
anymore.
goodness gracious. I remember them days. Like,
Right.
who are you?
Right. And 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 so that's actually in practice where people come in, because we have become very much problem solvers. We're less proactive than we used to be.
Right.
So that's when the problems, that's when the angst, that's when the insecurity of, parent is just like, I don't know what to do with this kid. Like, I don't know what to do. So that's typically when they reach out for help. But I would love it if people would be like, you know what? This is the kind of parent I want to be. And
Yeah,
so,
be proactive.
right. But that's just not how we are organically anymore. But, it's interesting. We plan for months, sometimes years, to have the baby, but we don't plan to raise the
Oh, no, we don't. That's so true. We do not plan that.
right.
And I thank God for my training because I was able to really walk that out in my life because I had the training in school on in marriage and family therapy. But I was
Right.
glad I had that. But I kid you not, if I didn't have that, oh my God, that would have stressed me out. Because when
Yeah.
the change happened, I was trained to know how to deal with the change. But imagine the parents that don't, when they teenagers come home and don't want to talk, they want to lock themselves in a room. And I was the parent that like, no, you're gonna dialogue with me. We don't lock ourselves in the room. What we're not gonna do is that. But you got some parents are afraid to step into that zone. Like, what advice would you give? Because parents are afraid. There's a fear of addressing certain things with their children lately these days. I don't know if that's what you find out and when you're talking to people, but number one, where do you think the fear come from and how should they address it?
That's a great question, because spiritually, you and I both can probably agree that there are, it's love and fear. Those are the two
Yes.
primary emotions, which is why I figured you asked it that way. I don't know that most people have that understanding that all of our emotions fall into those two categories. So let's break it down for those that can't quite get there yet. I believe it's insecurity and lack of confidence, which are really
Mm,
friends, but that comes from fear. But that's another podcast discussion altogether. So I will say, yes, it is fear of not knowing what to do, and not being confident that they are the ones to do it.
mm. And you know what? I definitely agree with that. And it's interesting because we are called to manage everything on earth that we are responsible for. And when we have kids, God blessed us to manage them.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is that we're not called to do it alone. And so when that's where, it's so awesome that you do what you do because you can help them to navigate that.
Well, and I think somewhere along the, like, I want to just blur, we'll just use that word. I love blurring the lines. We have become so siloed in our lives, right? We have our work life, we have like, it's not that separate. So to your example, to what you just said, like, you don't have to do it alone. So here's a perfect example. Let's make this really practical for your listeners. If you were in a work group, when you are in a work group in your professional job, and there is a meeting of sorts, whether it's a luncheon or your weekly staff meeting or whatever it is, you're sitting around a table and there's an agenda of sorts, and people are invited. This is the safe space, hopefully, if it's a healthy work environment, where
Right.
people can weigh in and share information, ideas, or at least are part of the conversation. Why do we not, like, so if I say to somebody, we'll just have a family meeting, like, that is the most obscure concept, right? Okay, I get that. Maybe that sounds weird. Maybe it sounds too formal. Okay, let's reframe it. Let's have dinner together. And you, as the leader, ask one question and stimulate conversation around
Yes.
something. And guess what you really just modeled? A beautiful staff meeting, a family meeting. And the most important part about that is, and I know you will chime in with affirmation on this one, everybody at the table feels seen and heard, which is the number one mental health crises, number one symptom, number one articulated reason why people are feeling insecure in our lives today. They don't feel seen and heard. Let's have dinner
Amen.
together. Have dinner. But what do? Nope, we're going through drive-through to drop off to this activity, to drop off to that activity, to people coming home at all hours of the night. The kitchen has now become a cafeteria. Stop, have dinner.
Yes.
Magical.
It's magical.
It's
And it
magical.
also, you're right, that is the number one mental health crisis. And since COVID, we have been more and more disconnected. I call it disconnected culture that's being created. We have to step in and try to infiltrate that because it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah, that is the true crisis. And the numbers, like young people, the statistic, and it keeps changing, which is why I'm not going to name it, but let's just say conservatively, it is above 60% of all young people, let's say under the age between 11 and 25. That's their number one response of why they feel as though they are anxious or feeling insecure in their mental health. They do not feel seen and heard. And you know what the strangest thing about that is? It's preventable. And
Yes, it is.
that's the
And
frustration.
that's the frustration.
That is the
And
frustration.
we don't have to settle. We have to step in and say no. We come, like my husband and I, we sit and have dinner. No cell phones. That's the rule.
Absolutely.
We need the dialogue. That's
Yes.
the rule. We had to establish that, especially it was me that had the problem, believe it or not.
Good. For you.
I had to say, you know what, let me put this phone down. But I had to agree because I don't want to just eat at the table and everybody, even when you go out to dinner, what do you see? Everybody with their cell phones and nobody is talking to each other.
Yeah. I
All
have
you did was pay for a meal and left.
Oh, that happened not that long ago, and uh, it was everything in my power not to get up. I couldn't. I was with my daughter. She was visiting from out of town, and I did not dare get up because I knew she would have been mortified, even though she's a flown and grown adult, but she still would have been mortified. And I didn't want to take the time away from her visiting, but I could not believe what I was witnessing of this family of five, and nobody was talking, and the two kids were just heads down, and
Oh, goodness gracious.
everybody allowed it. And and you also, I've done a lot of traveling, speaking, and airports, the same thing, airports.
Yes.
Everyone's
No,
got
no, yeah, no one is talking to each other. When I go out of town, I talk to everybody because I have a personality that
necessarily,
just can't help it.
yeah, and I don't necessarily want to be friends with the person next to me, and that's okay. I'm really speaking about like families traveling together.
Yes.
And and the kids that are like, tugging, little kids tugging on their parents' pant legs to get their
Their
attention.
attention.
And parents are just, they're just dialed in. And it'll be these same parents, and yeah, parents, I'm going to call you out. It'll be those same parents that 5 years from now will be like, I don't know why my child is so obsessed with their phone.
Yes. Or I don't know why my child is not talking to me.
Right. Oh yeah, that's even
Yes.
better. Yeah, that's better.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we don't understand the implications of what we are doing, which allows us to circle back to the beginning. They are watching at every moment. How do you manage stress? How do you manage arguments, conflicts? How do you manage joy? How do you manage humility? How do you demonstrate kindness? Like,
They need to learn that through
yes,
example, by watching, right? By
yes,
observation, because we deal with it every day,
yes.
right?
In
That is
every
so true.
in everything we do. In everything we do.
And it's and they watch it, we the models for it. So it's good to not hide in the room while you dealing with issues, or hiding the things that's going on from your children. They exposed to so much, so they need to be able to experience. I definitely 100% agree with you on that, and I love how you put it, because it is something that they need to see how to experience, how to operate in kindness, how to deal with conflict.
And it gives them permission, like part of
Mhm.
learning from role models. You don't have to do exactly what they do, but the older they get, they will be able to discern the things that are in alignment with them, that they're like, yeah, that I could do that. And the things they're like, that's just not me, but I can do this. And so this is how we help them, but we have to give them something to go from, and we need to give them permission then to create a reaction, an MO, a modus of behavior that works for them.
Yes, because that's how we get to know them as a person, because they're very unique. And so we get to pull out that uniqueness of them and give them permission to feel and contribute.
Yeah. And I think a lot of parents, I do find, and I've seen this in my work, it's too easy to just do for. And so therefore we are actually taking the permission away from our youngsters to learn how to do for themselves, to fail forward, to succeed, to do all of those things, to learn resourcefulness. The list goes on and on. When we take that opportunity away from them, we're not giving them permission to figure it out on their own. And it's always going to backfire.
It does, it will backfire in business when we don't allow people to do, we'll say, I'll do it for you, but instead allowing them to do it themselves is taken away from their growth,
Yeah.
and not allowing them to have accountability. So yeah.
I just finished when I was finishing up the book that I just wrote. And so I asked my daughter, it was the 15 universal shifts that parents can make to raise the standout adults of tomorrow. And so I asked my daughter, and I was just like, what was the one thing? If you could pick one thing that was the most important thing that you learned growing up in our household, what was it? And she said, you, like, I hated you for it, but you never did anything for me. You made me figure things out on my own. However, today, as a 28-year-old woman, I know, and so she calls it, she goes, I am the most resourceful woman I know. And if I don't know how to do something, I know I will be able to figure it out and get it done.
That's awesome.
And so it was a beautiful response, because she lives a number of states away, but like she's that girl that will walk into Lowe's wearing the Carhartt overalls, and all of the men in there are just like, do you need help? And she'll start rattling off what she needs, and their eyes are like, and that's not me at all. She gets that
Right.
from her father. I mean, I don't know how to do it. I
She
can't.
like, because you put on the posture of, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
homeowner, and she's like, I'm not going to pay to have someone do that. How hard can it be?
That's awesome.
Isn't that fun? That's just a fun.
That is awesome. You mentioned a book. How many books, you are author, so how many books have you written so far?
I have contributed to 3, and then I just wrote my own, which is uh, about parenting as a leader.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So if you can give our audience one piece, I know you have many, one piece of advice, what would you give them?
Oh, you probably should have given me that one before we started talking. I would say, you mean like tactical, like an actual, like actionable thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I can give an actionable thing, and it would be tried and true, proven. Don't do things for your kids that they can do for themselves. You are
Amen.
robbing them the experience of growing for themselves.
That's some good advice. And I don't give it before I ask that question because I like to
You
to
like,
pull it out at that moment because I know you have so many, right? And so I know it's not, you're not gonna be like, I don't have anything. So because you have too much experience not to, right? But I also wanna let the audience know how they can reach you if they need to contact you.
so it's that's a really fun, and thank you for the opportunity to share that with your audience. I'm super simple to find. I just really go by my name. My business, you will never find me. I just use it when I'm speaking, but janetkrebs.com is my website, but you can email me personally. Here's a good one. Email me personally at ask@janetkrebs.com. I answer all my own email. I'm actually really proud of that. I don't use bots. I don't use any of that stuff because we are all human beings trying to make a connection in the world.
Right.
And so I love speaking with people and helping them solve problems. So yeah, and I do, right or wrong, good or bad, all of my business coaches say, Janet, it's suicide. Anybody that reaches out and that would like a 30-minute family audit, we will solve at least one problem in 30 minutes. I promise.
That is awesome. I love it. That 30-minute, that power 30 minutes
Ah,
solving one problem. That is awesome. But I'm sure it definitely you able to keep your clients either way because you show them value.
yeah. And here's the thing, Martha. Uh, that would be another one. I'll take liberty here for just a second. If I have one thing to say to people, because you said it, and I'm just going to piggyback it. You said we don't have to do it alone. There is no shame in asking for help.
Thank
Think,
you.
like you come home from the hospital with nothing, but you come home from the store with a new coffee maker, you get 15 pages of instruction.
Oh
How
my
are
goodness,
you,
yes.
how are you expected to know everything? I mean, come on, this is a
I
human being.
love that.
So there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in admitting that you don't know everything. I don't know everything, but together, I promise we will figure out a strategy that will work for your family so that you don't feel like you are swimming upstream.
And I like how you said that we don't know everything. And I actually dropped that. I grew up like or you have a master's, you're supposed to know everything about this. No, I dropped that expectation and that freed me up to really step out there and say, hey, I need help in this, I need help in that, because I don't know everything. And when you have that, I should know everything kind of posture, you don't ask for help.
You can't.
And we need help in areas we don't know everything. We're not all knowing. So we need help in certain areas in our life we don't know nothing about.
Yes.
So I like how you reframed that like that. That's awesome. And so and so I will put all of your links that you provide in the video as well. And just thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing all what you shared. The nuggets were great. The mic drops, you got some mic drops in there, I'll tell you that.
Something tells me you and I could do some damage on the stage, girl.
We could totally do some damage on the stage. But I love it. I love the collaboration. I am so grateful you came on today. I'm sure my audience will love it. And audience, if you feel this was helpful, please do share and subscribe because I always find amazing people to come on. And I am so excited that Janet was able to come on and share what she had. And I don't meet many coaches in that arena, but it's so nice to have met you today, Janet. And thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
So, with that being said, we are signing off. Have a happy Monday and enjoy your week.
We'll heal every heart. So join us now. Let's make life suffice. Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice.